Oh, yeah. I should probably say something, huh? Look at that. Yeah, I'm trying to get the lettering and whatnot. And I guess I probably don't need to speak so loud either. Right? So this is picking daisies talk right now. You're into daisies, BB guns, plinking with them, collecting them, then is the place to be right now. What you're looking at is the Victor Heddon. The Victor Heddon. Victor Heddon number 102 Cub. I don't know if it's a 102B. I don't even know what B means. And my vision's not so good either, because it should say this is a really nice specimen, as they call it. I don't like the word specimen. Sounds like sounds too biological. Yeah, it's made. Yeah, this is just a straight up model 102, which is strange because it's a cub size. Yes, it's kind of small. And I don't have any other 102 to compare it against, but my guess is it's not a full size 102. I could be wrong. Could totally be wrong on this. Now, I'm going to read something about this. This is really interesting. First of all, I think Dennis Baker may have had his hands on this. Which one? I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Is it the Daisy King Dennis Baker, or is it the other Dennis Baker that has the Air Guns website? So whoever it was did a pretty darn good job, because this thing is really quiet and relatively powerful. I haven't cronied it yet, but I'm pretty sure I was able to hit the target with Kentucky windage out at 50 yards with this. Yeah. So enough on the performance of this gun. I'd say this is about a 1960s. Yeah. But we're going to get more into that in just a moment. This is a wood stock. It has a little emblem on it. Maybe I'll go get it. Yeah, there it is. It fell off. It fell off while yeah, that was right on here. Yeah. So it fell off. I'll probably put it back on. Now, what's interesting, this is not only a great shooter. It sounds like it's silenced. I mean, the thing is so quiet. Again, it's low velocity. We're definitely talking under 300 FPS. But the history of this is very interesting. This is pre-Daisy gets sued. Because Daisy got sued in the 80s. It was like 82 or something. I'm sure they got sued more than once. But yeah, this is 1960s. And Daisy Heddon. I'm just going to read the information that I found because it's really intriguing. I'm not quite sure. I've read this already. I'm not quite sure if Daisy got together with Victor or Victor got together with Daisy. In other words, who bought who? Was it an even partnership? If you don't know, Victor is a Victor Comptometer, somewhat of a tip, is a calculator. Yeah, remember the calculators. And they made the calculators pretty much around the same time that Daisy was making BB guns. So they've always, they've maybe been fellow business folks, maybe in the same lines of business, certainly in the same lines as far as making products out of stamped steel, right? Because the calculators were probably made out of the same sort of stamped steel. And all right, well, here we go. This is from Reveley.com, REVOLVY.com. And it's Victor Comptometer is what I'm looking up. Oh, see, also known as Victor Calculator. The supplier of printing calculators, scientific calculators, financial calculators, et cetera, et cetera. Headquarters in Bolingbrook, Illinois. So pretty much neighbors there. Victor products are sold primarily throughout the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico through independent office supply dealers. Yeah, these guys still exist, actually. The company history. Victor Adding Machine Company was a fledgling company in 1918 when the operator of a successful chain of meat markets gave a Victor salesman $100 for what he thought would buy an adding machine. Instead, he got 10 shares of the company's stock. It's kind of funny. In an effort to protect his investment, that man, Carl Buehler, became a director of Victor in September 1918 and was elected president of the company 3 months later. The first Victor adding machine, model 110, was introduced in 1919. Let me go get my 1919. I'll put that right there. And where is it? Where is it? There it is. This is the Daisy number 25, made approximately 1919. It's a short throw model. But yes, when Victor Adding Machine Company was trying to sell their what would essentially be a consumer adding machine in Illinois, Daisy in Plymouth, Michigan, was they stopped selling windmills, iron windmills, and started stamping sheet metal BB guns, such as the Lefevre designed number 25. So pretty neat. But let's get back to the Daisy Heddon. Yeah. So this Carl Buehler guy, man, he must have been a thug, because somebody ripped him off, essentially ripped him off for $100 and sold him stock. And he was savvy enough and tough enough. Yeah, now this is early 1900s, man. You had to be a gangster. So this Carl Buehler, who had a successful meat, a chain of meat markets. Yeah, he went after these adding machine geeks and essentially became president. That's funny. Only in America. Okay, in 1921, Carl selected his 24-year-old son, AC, as vice president of operations and advised him to operate the company by working like the devil, but treat the employees right and allow them to make some money. Okay, I don't know if what I'm reading here is company rhetoric or not, because they're still around. Huh? Okay, well, let's take it for face value, though. Right. We're on the tree. Carl also believed in reinvesting most of the profits so the company could grow. Well, that's a smart idea. AC assumed control of the company on the death of Carl Buehler in 1932. So Carl didn't get to see the works of Hitler, but his son certainly did, right? So, and then of course during World War II, and this is the important part here. During World War II, Victor manufactured an aircraft compass, a B-24 bomber turret gun sight, and the Norden bomb sight. So they actually manufactured a few very, very important things for World War II. After the war, Victor had all the necessary elements for success in the adding machine industry. Quality products, a good research department, an efficient factory, an efficient sales organization, and a dedicated service department. Therefore, it was no surprise that by 1947, Victor had become the world's largest exclusive manufacturer of adding machines, and 5 years later topped the million mark in units sold. That's 1 million consumer level adding machines. So think of the influence that had on small business in America. So in 1953, Victor went into the cash register business, acquiring its longtime customer, the McCaskey Register Company. This purchase immediately contributed to the sales and marketed the beginning of a major expansion phase. Are you guys? Come on, where are you going to take me? All right, well, if I just keep, there we go. All right, having technical issues here. There we go. AC began to evaluate the computer market during the 1950s. So again, very interesting stuff. Get this out of my face here. There we go. Yeah, so old AC. AC Buehler began to evaluate the computer market during the 1950s. And, well, of course he did. Then he decided that the market had potential, but that he would stay out of it until he could find or develop a product suitable for both large and small businesses. Wow. The solution came in 1961 when Victor merged with the Comptometer Corporation, which produced calculating machines and a telecommunication device called the Electro Writer. So, and now this is also when this thing came around, right? 1961 says here, or at least that's the oldest this could be, is 1961. In 1965, Victor Comptometer Corporation produced the Victor 3900, a fully electronic calculator with multiple functions, 3 storage registers, and a small CRT display, that is. The unit incorporated an early MOS integrated circuit for processing and storage. The unit was designed for desktop use, but was extremely large and heavy due to manufacturing difficulties. Manufacturing was discontinued in 1967. Yeah, so I think this was made during the good times, right? The newly formed Victor Comptometer maintained an aggressive stance toward product line expansion. In 1966, the cash register line, which had begun with a calculator on the top of the cash drawer, was expanded to include the Heddon cash register. Hugin or Heddon? I don't know. This Swedish-made product was distributed by Victor in the U.S. and Canada. By 1967, there were 75 basic models in the Victor line. Yeah. And after 1967, Victor began designing electronics into Victor products. In 1971, the 1800 series was introduced as the full line of electronic calculators. In 1973, a revolutionary electronic dot matrix printer was introduced and sold as an OEM product. In 1974, what does that say? What was it? 1974, there it goes. A series of programmable calculators were introduced and quickly captured a large segment of the banking and small business market. There you go, 1974 really hit hard. In 1975, Victor began producing a series of electronic cash registers. Wow, this is something. Now, this is why I don't think we're getting much beyond 60 on this 1961. You know, could be a little later than that. I have a sneaky suspicion it's 1961. Now, Kitty Inc. of Saddlebrook, New Jersey, acquired the company and renamed it Victor Business Machines in 1977. I have a theory that all of life just paused in 1977. Just a theory. All right. It's a joke, son. Not the theory. It's a hypothesis. Calling my hypothesis the theory was a joke. All right. Onwards. At the top of the right, under new ownership, and Buehler's out by now, right? Victor began to search for products for the office of the future. At the top of the list was to find a superior microcomputer product. Toward the end, Kitty made a deal with Chuck Peddle's Cirrus Systems Technology. Wow. A company recognized for manufacturing technology advanced affordable desktop computer designed for the needs of small businesses. Cirrus One. Yeah, okay, it's not the same Cirrus that we have in our automobiles. It was an Intel 8088 business machine running MS-DOS and CP/M, but more powerful than IBM PC. Wow. Released at the same time regarding RAM, display, floppy disk, etc. They realized that the computer would fit perfectly into Victor's well-established network of 50 branches and 680 dealers. An arrangement was made for Victor to have exclusive domestic distribution rights for a 3-year period. The computer was sold as the Victor 9000. So isn't this something? Now, I'm not seeing anything here regarding their relationship with Daisy. We could certainly go on and on. It ends by saying, also launched in 2008 were several models with antimicrobial protection and recycled plastic. What a way to end the article. They seem to have been involved with Tandy Corporation. Sold the Victor Computer Division to Tandy Corporation in 1989. Oh, well, that was unfortunate. Tandy went, didn't they? We are talking 80s and bankruptcy. And I wonder if that, no, well, maybe. Because in the 80s is also when Daisy got sued, and that's when these guys were in company with one another. In order to protect Victor Technologies Corporation, at the same time find a way to meet its obligations to its creditors, Chapter 11 bankruptcy proceeded in February 1984. Ow, man, right? 80s was rough for these guys. They were rolling it up until then. Well, by then, Mr. Buehler and AC were probably well out of the picture. Right? So there you have it. I'm not going to read it. The article is about twice as long. If you want to check it out, there it is on Reveille.com. Victor's parent company, Datatronics AB, was sold to Reventius AB, a large Swedish investment company. They, in turn, sold the Victor computer division to Tandy in 1989. Okay, there that is. Yeah. Both Battellini and Lant had, at that time, over 25 years of experience with Victor in sales and marketing. There's just a bunch of management and sales names of management and sales people. I heard that they're still around, or at least a physical location is still around. But that was from another article, and that doesn't seem to be represented in this article. So, how interesting, huh? I mean, that a 102, I really would like to get my hands on another 102 because this one shoots really well. This is great. This is pretty much the vintage version. If 1960s is vintage to you, not quite to me. But this was, if this was made in 61, then yeah, it's older than me. So sure, I'll call it vintage. Yeah, this would pretty much is the same thing as the Cub, right? Let's go look at the Cub. Oh, come on, Cub. Where are you? Yeah. I mean, right? It's the same thing. Yeah. Loading mechanisms changed, right? They went to, I guess maybe 2009. I could be wrong on that. They introduced this loading port, so you didn't have to deal with the shot tube, I guess, or so you wouldn't deal with the shot tube. Yeah, don't know how I feel about that. Painted barrel, but I heard that this is a nickel plated, so I don't know. Maybe they nickel plated. Maybe this is more of like a gray bluish paint. Again, you guys probably know. I don't mind painted barrels. Not anymore. Not after having to clean and oil and keep the rust off of all of my blued barrel guns. Yeah, painted barrels aren't so bad. And all my best shooters are painted barrels. So and all of my best shooters are also not vintage guns. They're guns like this, brand new, probably made just this year or something. Right? This is the new Daisy buck, made in China. Yeah, not made in America. This is made in America, and it shoots great. I love it. But if I had to choose. Well, if I had to choose one to sell, it would be this one because this is probably going to is worth some money and growing in value. This will probably take another 100 years for this to be valuable, but it shoots amazing. It's a great shooter, super light, and maybe that's the worst thing about it is it might be too light in order to efficiently aim. But I have a secret for that. And you don't have to put a forestock on it, a foregrip on it. Yeah, just fill it with a lot of BBs. It holds about 450, 650, I don't know, something like that. Does it say it on there? No, maybe it doesn't hold. Now this is a 105B. See, and that's what's interesting. So, yeah, this is a 102, and this is a 105. Yeah. So I know that externally they look the same, more or less. But I wonder if the 102 versus the 105, especially if this were a if this were a vintage 105. Let's just pretend this is a vintage 105. I wonder if the 102 and the 105, how they differ. Is it internally? If anybody knows, let me know. So, yes, this is the 102 Cub. This is the Buck 105, the B. Yes. And boy, do I wish I could get my hands on a vintage one of these. A 105. Yes. So, I'll put these things away. Except that. I'm not going to put that one away. So we're not done talking about you. You 105, you. Let's put that here. And just for giggles, let's also compare it against one more. This one. Yeah. Okay, well, the huge, right? Huge difference. Yeah, one's bigger than the other, isn't it? Yeah, one's bigger. This is a full size. This is a Buzz Barton. I always kind of imagine Buzz Barton being small. No, oh my God. It is a 195 Buzz Barton. The 103 Buzz Bartons, I'll be getting into those later, but the 103 Buzz Bartons are definitely not the same as any of these guns. Yeah, the 102. And it doesn't even say Cub on there, and it just says 102. Daisy Heddon 102. Great shooter for a vintage gun. Very nice. And if it was whichever Dennis Baker did the work on it, if you indeed did a work on a Daisy 102, I commend you on the work that you did. I would love to know, because I don't want to open these things up. I don't have to, which I haven't had to much. I would love to know if this has a leather or a synthetic seal on it, because it's so damn quiet and so smooth. Yeah, I mean, you hardly get the satisfaction of it behaving like a gun that goes click or clack. I mean, it is just one. And the typical. This is not a hard trigger at all. My goodness, I haven't got my hands on the on this other 1933 103, the Buzz Barton. But the Buzz Barton that I do have my hands on, whoa, man, the trigger on it is insanely hard. I mean, I don't even see how a child could even pull the trigger on the Buzz Barton that I have. Again, I keep straying. I keep straying away from this 102, this wonderful 102. All right. Well, I think I've said enough regarding this thing. Yeah, you could get these kinds of things for easily under $100. Maybe even like $50. I might have got this for $40, $50 or something. Probably not though. Yeah, don't quote me on that, because this is in really nice condition. There's no rust. Look, the handle is even still almost all black. So, but you could get these guns very inexpensively, and I think that they're so much more satisfying than, you know, buying a bunch of different pellet guns or various BB guns. To each his own. But to be able to buy a shooter, a more recent one that, you know, if it breaks or whatever, you just throw it away and go buy another one, or go buy another one and have the other one for parts, which I haven't had to do, by the way. So far, all these new Daisies have been working flawlessly, wonderfully. Knock on virtual wood. Oh, no, knock on wood. But it's really neat to be able to get some of these vintage guns from, you know, the cousins, the ancestors of these new guns, and to show them some love and to shoot them. And, you know, when you shoot them, a lot of times they don't shoot point of aim. It's a BB gun, right? You know, what BB gun shoots point of aim if you're not, you know, unless you're shooting almost at point blank range, right? So BB guns are unique in that you really often we get to see the projectile going out of the target and follow its path. And we're more controlled, as BB plinkers, we're more controlled with the path, more concerned with the path of the projectile. In many ways, you know, well, you can't be very concerned with the path of a projectile if you can't see it. You know, you can imagine it, you can, and you know, calculate it, but with a BB gun, you really can see the dang thing, right, and follow it. And you know, I've talked about this before, but man, I'm getting 6,000 rounds. I'd say what, maybe every other month I have to buy another 6,000 rounds. So I'm getting so much more trigger time on this than I would any of the pellet guns or powder guns. So, and trigger time is what it's all about. It really is. I mean, if you like to shoot. You know, some people, shooting isn't the main thing they like to do. They like to clean the gun. I'm not really a big fan of cleaning them, but, you know, I like keeping clean. I like to shoot them. And then it's really nice to be able to get my hands on these different vintage guns. You know, I'll probably have to pass them on. I can't hold on to things forever. And, you know, if you want one thing, then you probably got to make room for the other thing. So, but right now, it's nice to be able to have these in my hands and shoot them and to clean them up and appreciate them as much as possible before I rather trade them out. Yeah, I'd only say a small handful that I really say I'd want to keep in a collection. And just because even when you keep things, you got to maintain them, right? So I think it's, unless you got somebody that can maintain stuff for you, it becomes hard to have too big of a collection of anything. So you just try to get the best of and try to hit the sort of historical points. And this was a surprise because I was just trying to get a basic 102, right? Sort of climbing up the ladder, trying to get the sort of increments that lead up to the Red Rider. For instance, you know, the lightning loader and the lever actions that came before that, the 155, the 102. I know there's a bunch of them, right? But the 155 and the 102 and the lightning loader seem to be the ones. And so I got my hands on 155. Love that. I think we'll do a video on that. And I saw this. The price was right for it. and had to get it. Wasn't exactly what I wanted, though. I wanted, of course, a Plymouth, right? We all want Plymouth guns. But this one, they said that it shot well. I'm a sucker for a good shooter, and woodstock. So that's kind of strange for Rogers. And then this strange Daisy Heddon thing, which, you know, now I know even more about Daisy Heddon. By the way, it didn't say, I remember the President Koch, or Hough, Hough. Yeah, they're it's not mentioned here. He is the one that got involved with Buehler, I believe. So they were probably business partners in other things as well. The way things seem to be, I think that's a Daisy. That's a Daisy. Clement. That's it. Hamilton. Clement Hamilton. Well, he had his own little side thing, right? When they it was the windmill business, and they had his little side Plymouth air rifle company that then merged stuff kind of merged together with Markham King and Hamilton, and then this guy, right? Buehler, who essentially became Victor. But now this is a family, because we're talking 60s here. And Hough and Hamilton, I'm pretty sure those guys weren't around anymore by then, or were very old. So so this was a family, obviously a family of folk. I often wonder if they were connected by way of a Masonic order. I know they were involved in Freemasons. They made the guns for Freemasons, right? So maybe that's the connection. I've asked folks from the Daisy Museum. They deny having any sort of knowledge of the Freemason. They just deny knowing, not that there is any. And they also deny having a relationship with China. But I don't know how you don't have a relationship with China and have China make your guns these days. Well, at least since 2009, and actually earlier, right? China was involved in at least the buying and selling of these in China. I can't see how they wouldn't have knocked them off early on in the relationship, or even just been allowed to make them, right? Licensed, perhaps. So anyone with information on this, please be forthcoming with it. This is really fascinating stuff. So, all right, I think this might be enough for today's picking daisies. Yeah, I got a lot of really cool stuff to show you. Not just daisies, but I'm just very excited about daisies. Daisies, although they are old and one of the first, well, certainly the first massive produced 8 million of the Model 25 alone, at least, right? So these guns are so, Daisy has been so prolific in guns that they're not the first to invent or to make the gun, the air gun, but they certainly are the most prolific manufacturers. Starting what, 1888, and certainly by 1901 or 2, they started making their own, and the rest is history. Stopped selling windmills and just went full on selling these bad boys. And so where was I going with this? Yeah. Yes, Hough and why am I spacing on his name? Hamilton, because Hamilton was the designer of the first Daisy guns. Well, other than Markham. Markham and Hamilton had something going there. I don't know what, and I can't quite get the story right if who had the upper hand on who. Like, who was the better designer? And I don't know if anybody's been able to come up with an answer on that, because Markham certainly made some great guns. Hamilton made some great guns. I wish they never used the rivets, so that way you can unscrew and open them up, clean them up. But these weren't made to be opened up, cleaned up like firearms. They're just made to be shot and thrown away, but they didn't make them bad enough. Maybe the new Chinese ones eventually will be disposable, but those things are working good. I hope not. Just don't want to end without covering everything possible. You know, then I hit end, and then a whole volume stuff comes up. But dang it, that's why I wanted to do this video for the first place for. So, yeah. The Daisy 102. That doesn't look like much, but boy, it's quite good. Get the piano out of the shot here. Yeah. And I don't have the heart to take this off. Warnings. This would make you think it was current, right? But no, I think they're just trying to get you to order from them directly. Yeah, look at that. Definitely Rogers, Arkansas. Yeah. And those folks are still around. You just wonder to what extent, like what, you know, are they just doing assembly at that place? So many questions. The main question right now that I'd like to ask the Daisy Museum folk is, what does B stand for? And what do you do over there in that Rogers, Arkansas plant, if that plant is still around? Is it just assembly? Are you actually, you know, bending metal and stuff like that? I would think so. All right. Well, this is Collier, and thanks for stopping by, hanging out. And hey, if you have anything to add to this conversation, let me know. If you know something, share. Let me know. All right, and I'll see you next time.